want to talk a little bit about poll workers that are needed for the 2014 elections here in Bernalillo County for the primary election on June 3rd and the general election on November 4th. We will be hiring 800 poll workers this year, and I do want to just mention that like in 2012, that is different from before. In the past, we used to hire around 2,400 poll workers, but since we moved to vote centers, we have fewer polling locations where anybody can vote. We need fewer poll workers. However, we are looking for people who are both experienced poll workers and people who want to become part of the process, so that's why we're doing this outreach. Poll workers need to be at least 18 years old. They need to be a registered voter here in the county, and we will have positions ranging from precinct judges, who will be sort of in charge of the operations at the polling location, down to systems clerks, who will be responsible for checking voters in. And so really we're also looking to bring people into the process who have not participated before but who have computer skills and who are interested in getting involved in doing their civic duty. Around 250 of these positions will be early voting positions. So we will be hiring people for that 2-week period leading up to Election Day, starting a couple of Saturdays before the election. And the remainder will work at the 69 vote centers that we will have around the county on Election Day. Pay for Election Day only is going to be $150, and then the pay ranges. It's an hourly pay scale that just ranges depending on the position for the early voting positions. So we've modernized the application system. In the past, we used to deal with a lot of paper, and so now if a person wants to become a poll worker, they can apply online at our website, and that's going to be available just by going to bernco.gov/clerk or bernco.gov/clerk-poll-worker. And if you go to that website, you can apply online to become a poll worker. By converting to this new online system, we're going to basically make it very easy for our staff to process these applications, and we're also going to start communicating electronically with our poll workers. And so we're going to be providing all of our poll workers the new online training videos that we have on display back here. This whole new series of training videos that we developed that are going to be mandatory for new poll workers. We're going to be scheduling them online. We're going to be doing broadcast messaging with our poll workers. We're going to have access to a master calendar, basically modernizing the whole process. Everything we've done in the past with our poll workers has been on paper. We know that we can be a lot more efficient and communicate a lot more effectively and work a lot better with our poll workers if we move to this electronic process. And we're also going to be using social media this year to reach out to, again, new people, bringing new people into the process. Being able to sustain our poll worker program over the long term is very important. And if we get people in at a young age and they start participating in this process, they will continue to work as poll workers throughout the course of their lifetime. And that's really important because this is our democratic process, and it is totally reliant on citizens volunteering to help run elections on Election Day and in early voting. So we'll be using these new ways of reaching out to people to try to bring new people into the process. We also have a student poll clerk program that I want to just talk about briefly. We implemented it in 2010. We expanded it in 2012, and we want to expand it yet again for 16 and 17-year-olds who are not even yet registered to vote, that they can participate in working at the polls on Election Day. And again, we find this to be a great way to get young people involved and to get them into the practice of doing their civic duty. And then, of course, when it comes time for them to vote at the age of 18, they're more likely to want to start engaging in that process right away. Let me just talk really briefly about the training initiative. So every year since I became clerk, we have done sort of new and innovative things. What we discovered with moving to vote centers is that it was really important to really streamline our poll worker training. Make sure that people are being trained to their specific roles, that they're getting extensive in-depth training that they need. And so part of the training video program that we developed is going to that, making sure that we are really training to the specific role of the poll worker depending on the role that they have at the polls that day. And so these videos consist of things like opening the polls, handling in lieu of and provisional ballots, voters with disabilities, campaigning at the polls, those types of things, so that the voters are getting specific training on those issues that tend to come up on election day. And we will have the training videos available not just to the poll workers but to the public on our Clerk's webpage, and we'll have a YouTube channel dedicated to these poll worker trainings. So we would even encourage, not just the poll workers but members of the general public to view them, to look at them. We think it only helps when people can kind of better understand the election process and what they will experience when they go to the polls on election day. And it's just sort of an endeavor to be more transparent and more open about how the election process works and help educate the public. These are going to be mandatory for our poll workers, but again, we would like anybody who's interested in looking at them to look at them, and we are also offering them to the other county clerks throughout the state to utilize for their poll worker training as well. Finally, I just want to talk briefly about a new initiative that we're rolling out this year. In addition to going out to the general public to bring in new poll workers, we are also developing an in-house poll official program here within the county. And this is something I'm really excited about because we've seen other jurisdictions such as the city of Phoenix and counties in Colorado do this, where they utilize employees from within the county as poll workers. It's sort of a no-brainer, but it's not something we've done here in Bernalillo County in the past. And what it does is it gets county employees invested in the election process so they can understand what this particular office does in terms of implementing election, but it also allows us to utilize the specific skills that county employees have, especially those computer skills that we are needing now with vote centers. And so it's sort of a win-win scenario, and it helps us develop this this group of poll workers that we can sort of rely on from election to election. I think eventually we want to look at bringing county employees into doing other roles with regard to the election, not just working at the polls on election day. It's an efficiency, it's a cost savings, and again, it just helps sort of bring people from within the county into the process here in the clerk's office, and just to develop a greater understanding of the needs of the election. We rolled out that program a couple of weeks ago internally. As of this time, we already have 25 applications from county employees. We're hoping to have 3 or 4 times that potentially this year. We'll see how it goes, but I'm very excited that we're going to have these county employees working the polls on election day as well. So that is it for poll officials. We just, again, we want to put that beacon out to the public that we're looking for folks. We want to get folks involved. We want them to apply. Again, it'll be available on our homepage at bernco.gov/clerk. The application will be, as well as the training videos.